Alright everyone, now we're going to talk about this lie by structure particular article. This comes from Mark Fisher, by the way, of the Washington Post. Link in the description, archived of course. You can see the tweet that was made. And it's a claim that the AR-15, the boogeyman rifle as you may term it, although AK-47 is now being mentioned as well by like Klobuchar and stuff, so there's a new kid on the block, an Eastern bloc on the block. Sorry. I've got dad brain. I only slept for about 2 hours last night. I'm doing my best. Thankfully, caffeine exists. If you look at this, the claim, and it's laughable, is that the AR-15 was actually invented by the Nazis and then was engineered by the U.S. military thereafter, and that's where the AR-15 came from. Yeah. Now, if you actually look at the article, it's a bit more nuanced than that. But if you look at the tweet, or if you look at the preliminary first screed in the article, you will see the same claim. AR-15 came from the Nazis. It's an illegitimate, evil, racist weapon because everyone knows that the jet engine and all of the other things that the NSDAP did develop shouldn't be in use. So we're going to have to go back to biplanes because jet engines are racist. High and low pressure systems for pilots, those are racist too, so make sure those planes don't go too high in the sky or else you're going to have a problem. Half a dozen major medical advances, etc., all on the backs of human experimentation, unfortunately, but there's quite a corpus of scientific development over those years. But the fact is that that's not true. The claim is in fact refuted in the article itself. You're talking about the pedigree of the firearm. That is that the AR-15 is topically similar. Its aesthetic development is similar to older weapons that were developed by the Nazis. The problem is that they in turn were simply redeveloping weapons at that time that were also based on older weapons. If you were to extend this out, basically you're going back to ancient China and talking about rocks being shot out of bamboo tubes with black powder, and so that's the pedigree of every gun. They're all Chinese, so I guess they're commie too, so yeah, definitely we should just ban them. The AR-15, though, is a civilian variant of an actual assault rifle. It is an entirely civilian weapon. It's not an assault rifle at all. The civilian model does not have select fire capabilities. It doesn't have full auto capabilities. It's not an assault weapon. No military in the world uses the AR-15 nor ever has. In fact, it was developed by the Armalite company. By the way, that's what AR stands for, Armalite rifle. It doesn't stand for assault rifle, as some people confusingly still actually believe. It's not a military weapon. Military tried to use a civilian AR-15, they'd get shot to pieces by a force that had considerably better weapons. I also see people claiming that it's an evil baby killer with such huge bullets and they'll shred the children apart. I saw some crazy lib the other day talking about how they should take photos of the carnage from inside the Uvalde school that was shot up the other day by Salvador Ramos. And so they can show these grievous injuries to the public, and maybe that'll change things. No, because there wouldn't be any grievous injuries. Not unless you shot the cadaver 30 or 40 times. So it'd look like a pile of minced meat. But that would happen with any weapon. The 5.56 round that tends to be used in the AR-15, although I believe they can be rechambered to pretty much anything else. The platform is highly modular. It's called the Barbie doll for dudes. The Barbie doll of gun owners, rather. Highly modular, but that tends to be the round that it fires. It's not an impressive round. It's illegal to even hunt deer with them in several states because it's too small. It's reasonably good. It is a rifle round. It is lethal. It is definitely useful, including for actual military weapons. But it's not, unless you're using like, explosive rounds or something like that, it's not actually going to shred someone on the first hit. It'll leave a relatively small entry hole. It might blow a chunk of flesh off the back, but that's again the case with a 10mm. It's the case certainly with a 50 cal or something like that. And it's funny because this whole thing is a lie by structure. The lie by structure is that the initial claim that's absorbed by 90% of the people who will even bother to click through is the AR-15 is a Nazi weapon. And it's military made. You go further and you find out the real skinny, but that's through the article. 99% of the people that even click through, certainly if you read the tweet, that's what you imbibe, won't even read beyond the first paragraph. They just don't have time. This is classic Wapo. I'm not surprised that it's coming from them. This is classic legacy media propaganda, and it's probably the most common lie at this point among the legacy media. It's also the most common lie on Wikipedia, by the way. If you go to them, anything politically charged or socially relevant, there's a lot of lies by structure. All the stuff that you would want to know that counterbalances the prevailing first paragraph and its claims, well, here's the evidence to the contrary of what we just said was true, is at the bottom of the article for a reason. And the people that are willing to do the actual digging and go through the entire fucking 10-page article to find the real truth will just get called conspiracy theories. The person who reads it and imbibes it passively won't even fact check it. They don't have the time and or they just don't agree with the premise counterbalancing, and so they're not willing to actually accept that what they believe is completely a lie. The fact is that the AR-15 is not a military weapon. You're thinking of its military predecessor, which is still in use today by some militaries, I believe. It was not made by the Nazis. It's based topically on a design system developed in the 1940s. But that in turn, again, it must be said, is based on World War I era designs. And those are based on designs from the 19th century. And those are based on designs from the 17th century. And so on forth back until you get devices that barely qualify as firearms at all. Basically, like the modern sort of gun concept is effectively 19th century when we really think about it, for most intents and purposes. But your AR-15 didn't exist under the NSDAP. Simply wasn't there. It's US made. It's a knockoff sub-military variant of an actual military weapon, having none of the capabilities of that initial firearm, and that is only aesthetically based on anything the Nazis were involved with. That's about all. Peace out.